It's now time for Data Point to reflect on some of the numbers that we are getting from the Kjsea results outcome. Let's first begin by looking at the size of that cohort. When these candidates sat at their grade 3 assessment at the time in 2019, they were 1.28 million learners. Now, 3 years later, they sat the Kjsea, the Kenya Primary School Education Assessment. They were 1.25 million learners. But now, when they're sitting the Kjsea examination, based on the results released today, there were only 1.13 million, which is 88% of the original number when they were in grade 3. So there are questions about what happened to the 151,000 learners who were in grade 3 in 2019, but now not able to sit the exam. But also, out of the registered candidates of 1.13, there are more than 24,000 that did not show up to write the examinations when this was being done last month. Now, that's a question because you don't know whether these learners transitioned to a different curriculum, or they expedited their learning to the 844 system, or they just dropped out, or what could have happened to them. Now, in the performance, you've seen some of the stories that are focusing on that. Let's start by looking at mathematics, because we understand that in terms of performance, it is only 10.6% that exceeded the expectations in this particular examination. So then the meeting expectation was about 22.7%. If you do the math between 10.6 and 22.7, you get about 33% of the only learners that were able to meet expectations in that examination, meaning the rest, which you'll be looking at the figures later, 52% were approaching expectation. This is a score based on the grading by Kenya National Examinations Council, and 13% were below expectation. And let's take a look at the performance in another examination area, which is integrated science. So the same class that was not able to do very well in mathematics did very well when it came to science, because 32% were able to exceed expectations, and then 44.3% were meeting expectations. In total, that is more than 76% that were meeting expectations going up. And then the ones that were approaching expectation is just about 19.8%, and the below expectations is 1.2%. So very good performance in science. When it comes to other subjects, so you'll see how it compares. That in integrated science, 77% are meeting expectations or exceeding the expectations, but 21% are the only one that are below expectation. For mathematics, it's only 33% meeting expectations or exceeding the expectations. A whole 65% is below the meeting expectation requirement. Then for agriculture, 80% met the expectations, between meeting expectations and exceeding expectation, and then 80% were below expectation. The same class, when it came to pre-technical studies, 47% are meeting expectations or exceeding expectation, and half of the class, which is more than 50% or 51% if you like, were below meeting expectation. So how did that happen? The same class doing very well in science, not so well in pre-technical courses, and not so well in mathematics. When it came to English, almost half-half, 48% are meeting expectations, 50 are not. Kiswahili, 58% are meeting expectations, 40% are not. For social studies, 61% meeting expectations, 37 not meeting. For CRE, 54, this is Christian religious education, 54% meeting expectations or exceeding expectations, while 44% were below that. For the Islamic religious education, we have about 49% meeting expectations, while 49% were not meeting expectations or they are below expectations. So there's obviously different ranges that are circulating online of what meeting expectation should be in terms of the percentage score. But as of this evening, the Kenya National Examinations Council has not provided details of what meeting expectation would be as a percentage or exceeding expectation would be as a percentage. So we do not want to assume until you have the information from the Kenya National Examinations Council. That's Data Point for tonight, but we are back with more stories